In order to create controllers for these, first let us decide how these guys are going to behave. Now, what I'm trying to shoot for is a relatively simplistic setup, which is also functional in that sense. So if you think about the movement of all these joints, they are free rotational movements, free rotational movements, which is nice. So one of the ways to go about creating controllers is to have a controller for each one of these joints, an FK controller that you can use to parent, constrain, control the joint, things that you've already done before. But what that allows me to then have is so many controllers here which I have to select and then clean up in the graph editor, and that seems like a lot of work. So instead of having multiple controllers, I'm going to have one controller which I might place over here right on top of the wrist. And I'm going to add multiple custom attributes. Each one of these custom attributes is going to be responsible for the curling of each one of these joints. Okay, so let's say for example the index finger pretty much bends here and here and here. So on that controller I'm going to have an index bend 1, which allows me to curl inside this particular joint. Index bend 2 is going to control this guy. Index bend 3 will control the curling of this guy. Okay, so let me start out. I'm going to start out by creating a simple circle, if you will. Let's move that here, like so. Make that a little smaller and let me move it up. Let's make this a little fancy looking, shall we? Because the circles, we have too many circles already. Let me increase the sections to 16 maybe. So when I press F9, I've got all of these. I can select these out and just something like that. Well, that's a new shape. Move that down a little bit. Okay, let me call that L finger control. Let me freeze transformations on it, and I'm also going to be deleting history. Great. Now what I'm going to be doing is adding lots of custom attributes to him, and really because I'm trying to go for a simple setup, you'll see that with these fingers I'm mainly interested in curling them or bending them. The thumb also kind of curls, but this particular joint on the thumb is capable of doing a bit more than just curling. You should be able to examine that with your own thumb. This one doesn't just curl in, it also spreads out. So that's something that we are certainly going to be working on. So let's see what's going on. Okay, so let's select your controller. Let's say add attribute, and let's start out. Let's say index bend 1, and I want you to see how I'm typing this. This is almost like global scale, where it's one word with a capital B. When I say add, index bend 1 gets added in. But I need two more of these. Index bend 2, index bend 3, mid bend 1, mid bend 2, 3, pinky, pinky bend 3. Great. Thumb bend 1 and thumb bend 2. Okay, so that's thumb bend 1, 2. Oh, did I forget to add one more? Thumb bend 3. However, what you also want is for this guy to be able to do this thumb spread, if you will. I'm going to call it thumb spread. Okay, so let's add that in. Oh, I added it onto the wrong object, obviously. I need to be selecting this. This is where I say thumb spread. Aha! All these attributes. That's fantastic. Now I need to basically duplicate this and move this onto the other side. You guys know how to do this. Start out by duplicating it, rename it, Control G to group it, scale x of -1. We'll project the curve onto the other side and group this guy, freeze transformations, and delete by type history. So that is creating controllers for the fingers.